everybody. Welcome. I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten all day.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for eating and taking care
All
of
right.
yourself.
Yeah. Well, I ate earlier. I remembered I ate earlier, but my belly does not feel like I ate at all. I love you all. So, anyways, go ahead, DeVika. We
All right.
are live, and you have the best topics.
Oh, you're so sweet. Actually, the fact that you are managing your hunger is a great lead into what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we're going to be talking about the untapped power of despair. And before anybody gets into like going somewhere where it's like depression and all of that, I'm actually not talking about that directly. Um, Although I'm of the belief that depression, being long term unchecked despair, has the same communication qualities that I'm going to talk about. And part of the reason I wanted to talk about this is because we're getting ready to go into the holidays, and um, people experience despair in a lot of different ways. Right now, your body is despairing about food, and it was communicating with you that it has a need. It has a need, it has a want, it has a desire, and it showed up as a despair or a feeling of discomfort that you experience in your brain and declare hunger. And then you go and you get curious about, oh, well, what could I eat to manage this hunger? And you don't make yourself wrong. Like, just imagine if we made ourselves wrong for being hungry. Like, oh my God, you're bad, you're wrong. How dare you be hungry? No, we don't. We use that as a way to communicate with ourselves, to communicate what our needs are, and to do a lot of, as I've said before, some shadow work in what we need and want that is being unmet. And I've said before, I do my own ongoing work. And right now I'm in a sex and intimacy seminar, which I love. And we are on a bit of a break. And we're in a break so that we can be with our despair. Now, outside of the seminar and outside of the work that I do, that might, like I said, show up as like be with our depression. And it would sound like, oh, the seminar is asking us to be depressed. It's actually not asking us to be depressed. It's asking us to just simply allow, without any make wrong, the experiences that we experience that bring us discomfort, displeasure, or anything like that. And instead of trying to fix it or justify it or manage it or make somebody else responsible for it, we're actually trained to kind of let it just exist like clouds in the sky. Like, oh, hey, um, I just want to be able to allow this in the space. And then when we don't make it wrong, like you didn't make yourself wrong for being hungry, right? Then we can be curious about what we would like. What is the communication? What is our shadow saying to us? What is the need? What is the want? What is actually being communicated? And not from a place of it's wrong, let me fix it. But what's the opportunity in the communication that I'm actually getting, right? Like, what am I actually being communicated? And one of the things that I recently discovered, as I said before, I am more than likely an undiagnosed person of neurodivergence. And uh, how it shows up for me is in executive function disorder. I have the willingness and the just the absolute interest in planning and doing things, and then I go to do them, and there's either no structure, there's no energy, there's no place for me to actually attach to doing it, and so that dysfunction. Uh, can trying to fix that dysfunction first of all is overwhelming. Um, but in the last couple of weeks where I've just been able to um, allow myself to have that, it's been very helpful because it's like, oh, I can actually see how this is impacting my life. And then I can get curious about what I want to do instead of making it wrong that this is an experience I'm having. So I did say that this is the sex and intimacy seminar that I am participating in. So why would a sexologist be in a seminar where we're talking about the disparity of the area that I actually want to transform? Well, because if I can be with it in my other areas of my life, my hunger, my executive dysfunction, then I can also be with it in my relationships. I can be with the despair in my relationships, whether I despair because I um, don't have a relationship and or the relationship I have is not um, going well, or I desire something else in my relationship. If I make all of that wrong, I because I now have to fix it, I actually never get curious about what it's trying to communicate to me. I never actually get to build that intimacy with myself. I never get to actually listen for listen for what I want and listen to my body as it was for what it was asking, which was why I love what you said. You acknowledge my body is like, hey, I want, like, yeah, I ate, but like, I want this over here, right? If you make that wrong, if you have that be wrong, you're going to have all kinds of problems. That's where, I mean, the ignoring those communications, that's what leads to eating disorders. That's what leads to people feeling very upset about their executive dysfunction. It's what leads to divorce and misery in relationships. Because most times when I say, be with your despair, people hear, be walked over, ignore your own whatever, make your partner wrong, take whatever they give you, be abused. And I'm not saying any of those things. I want to be clear. I am not saying any of those things. I am saying that those experiences of want, of lack, of scarcity, of despair, of anger, of frustration are a communication to us. And when we can just be with them instead of making ourselves wrong for having them, we actually can not only open up for ourselves, but we can open up and listen for other people, right? I really get to hear uh, other people's despair all the time. They don't know that they're despairing, but they're despairing. They don't know that they're frustrated, but they're frustrated. And it comes out in lots of ways. And we approach it from a lot of different ways. We approach it from, uh, it causes us to manipulate, to justify, to do a lot of things to survive the despair. And I would just simply say, instead of doing that, start to be curious about what is the despair communicating? What are you hungry for? How does the executive dysfunction impact my life? And is there something I can put in place for that? Because as long as I've been overcompensating for it, I'm exhausted. And guess what? Overcompensating for executive dysfunction just makes it worse. Just makes it worse, turns out. And if you find despair in your relationship, that's actually a really great place to start looking for what kind of intimacy is missing, what kind of conversations are missing, what kind of relatedness is missing, what opportunities are missing. Where do you have a breakdown or a withhold in your communication? So I just wanted to start that. I know I'm trying to find the timer. I can't see the timer, so you'll have to keep me on track. But I just wanted to open it up and just that's the framework. Um, and just that's the opportunity to have those kinds of conversations using despair as an access, right? I despair that I cannot go home to see my family. Awesome. For the holidays. Awesome. So ask the despair, what is it that you really want? You might really want connectedness and community. And then instead of despairing about not getting it from those people, you can be curious about where it might show up otherwise. So I could talk about this forever. So, but I'm going to stop now. And yeah, just go ahead and open it up.
I love that. And so I do, we have a viewer all the way from, I'm going to mess it up, DeVika
Zimbabwe?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
we do. And Chicago, which is awesome.
Awesome. Awesome.
Zimbabwe and Chicago. And I have a slight reading dyslexia, which is why I just tell Davika and she'll fix it for me.
Because listen, because you be with the despair of dyslexia.
Yeah.
You just be with it. It's like, oh, I'm dyslexic. Okay, I can just be
I
with
know
that.
exactly what it is, but if you want me to read it out loud, I'm going to disappoint a whole nation.
And so instead of making yourself wrong because you can't say the word Zimbabwe, you just be with the fact that you can't say it and you ask someone to support you. Boom.
Exactly.
On the court example. Way to go.
Easy peasy.
Easy
But
peasy.
also the whole week, there's a lot of growth inside of what I'm doing. And so I'm running with a lot of despair of it has to be right. It has to be right. It's getting big. It's getting huge. And today I was very much reminded the getting is there and
Mm,
today is where it is, right?
mm,
So the despair is it is going to be huge and I need to manage it accordingly. However, the truth of the matter is today and be grateful. Um, so there's a lot of different things and I think that this conversation is huge inside of what you've been talking about misusing words or cutting words short and cutting out very important parts of those words because there's a reason why there's a root and an addition, right?
mm.
And I think that that leads hugely into what you're saying. By the way, 13 minutes, you did great. You were talking, it was awesome. I've got the timer on my end.
Okay.
But we really think so much about the world of things, right? We really think so much about what is happening and then we let it stop us. We
Mm-hmm.
let it really take us out. And the
Mm-hmm.
reality of is what is so. And being inside of what is so is huge.
Yeah.
Um, I have a great business that is growing, and as it grows, it will afford for somebody to build the app that supports what is in my head because what I have now is not supported. It's a great community and it's working and malfunction and it's functioning without malfunction.
Mm.
It's functioning well. And yes, once it grows, those finances will be there to create it. So those are great things to really think about. Inside of despair, inside of personal, you brought up divorce and relationship dynamics. When you're so focused on what can't that person do or what can't I do, you can't have a conversation of what is this, where is the amazingness of this. I know that there's times when certain people would love certain people to not be a part of my life, but those certain people have contributed massively in a way that people wouldn't know
Mm-hmm.
because of those disparities that get expressed more than those positivities or even nobody wants anybody to be in despair. So we forget to look at the positivities of relationships. So I think it's really important to understand.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I just saw the thing. It's Zambia. I didn't.
Zambia. There you
Zambia.
go.
But yeah, just to say that you are absolutely correct, right? We focus on fixing the things that we despair about instead of just like, what if I just let that be? What if I let despair be? What if I let people think what they want to think, say what they want to say? What if I just let them have it? What what is the impact of that? You were talking briefly about, people and the end of words, and I run a page and people are they all have something to say. And I just let them say it. Because I mean, first of all, you
I
are
like
giving
trolling it.
first of all, I get easy content. Second of all, they are being very gracious. I want you to know they're being very gracious. They are sharing their despair with me. We don't realize that the background mood of humanity is that we are despairing and we don't know what to do with the beauty of that despair. And so we go around and we look for people to communicate and to commune and to commiserate with inside of that despair. It's very gracious to share your despair with someone and to not make them fix it. I get people who are like, well, I don't like you did this and I don't like you did that. Thank you for sharing your despair with me. I got your despair. I got it. Is there anything else? And when I say that to people, they get upset. I'm acknowledging your despair. I'm not going to fix it. I'm just going to be with it because
Yeah.
I realize that it took a lot for you to communicate it. So I am very sure that we are over
We
time.
are over time, and I do appreciate it. However, maybe being over time is what we need to do because we have 5 viewers. For
Oh,
all of you 5 viewers, if you missed all of our previous, I think we're on 14 now, there
mhm.
is, that's it, Vogue. There are QR codes.
Oh, not
So
with the QR codes again. You do this
it's over
every week.
there. I do it every live. I'm doing this 5 times. It's the same direction. I don't know what it is. It's dyslexia. Leave me alone.
But I love your despair about it, right? Where you just
We're
be with
gonna
it.
vogue it. On that side, there are QR codes. If you would love to see what we have been talking about, start at the beginning. Click on that or click on it, take a screenshot, get that QR code, go check out our YouTube. As well as if you would like to know how to be okay with your despair, meet with DeVika. She's got a QR code in those spaces. So yeah, just meet with us. We love chatting. We love helping. There's only so much that we can do though, but see how we can help you fully. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye bye.
I lost the screen.